Here at our channel, we are contending with a very difficult problem. Anti-Semitism, it's assailing Jews in Israel and around the world, in Europe, in the US, and everywhere else. We've decided to do something. We want to establish the Jewish Front for Public Diplomacy. We will dub our programs into English, first into English and then into other languages, and these programs of knowledge, wisdom, interpretation, of delving deeply into these subjects will serve the Jews of the world both to broaden knowledge and also to know how to respond. And it's not only for Jews, but also for those non-Jews who support Israel. We have with us attorney Yiska Bina. Good day to you. Did you hear our conversation on the significance of promoting harmony in Israeli society and reducing conflicts and disagreements? Yes. These are concepts that, when closely examined, underscore the importance of recognizing the value of all parts within the Jewish people, and all citizens are important and needed, and there's no Tel Aviv without Jerusalem, and there's no Jerusalem without Tel Aviv. They are all important and needed for the intricate mosaic that is the Jewish people that has returned to its land after 2,000 years of exile. That's very nicely put, and it continues what your colleague ציון Amir said. How can we act legally to address issues of incitement? Let's move on to the next question. Those are the questions that are divisive. ציון, do you want to respond? Yes, I do. I would say that there are two types of incitement, and it is a very important question. There is incitement that comes inside Israeli society of the type of the statements that we heard over the past year until October 7th. And about that, you're right. I don't want to touch on that. But there is another type of incitement and support for all kinds of parties who support Hamas, Israelis. Even within the Israeli Knesset. Yes, in the Israeli Knesset, and the followers of those representatives in the Knesset, we should put it out there. This is something that must be dealt with harshly in two senses. First of all, legislation that is already being prepared as we speak. I'm not sure if it has been passed, that redefines what is permitted and what is prohibited, where certain statements are made. For example, there was a certain actress who glorified and praised the horrific acts on October 7th, and others who made similar utterances about the actions that occurred on that terrible day, on October 7th, and those things must be dealt with very harshly. Immediate arrest, remands until a trial, minimum sentences. I would consider even revoking the citizenship of anyone who challenges or undermines the right of Israel to exist as the nation state of the Jewish people and try to destroy it from within. This is intolerable and completely inexcusable. This is not democracy, and anyone who does that is exploiting democracy to destroy it from within, to erode it from the inside, and so it should be discussed. That's not what I was referring to. I know. I heard about a judge who ordered the release of that actress and wrote that he doubted whether any crime had actually been committed. And the next day, the prosecution, quite rightly, served a very severe indictment against that actress. I wonder whether a judge of that kind, why would he say things like that? I can tell you. I can tell you very simply. I'll tell you what would lead him to say that. Stupidity. stupidity and evil. No, no, it's not stupidity. I am concerned that behind such a statement there is a coherent ideology. I will try to explain what kind of ideology underlies a statement like that. The instructions of the Attorney General 1412, there is in the law a list of laws upon which the police can act and, of course, open an investigation. And in Instruction 1412, the Attorney General in the past, not now, that there are crimes that involve or touch on freedom of speech, and so they are more sensitive, and therefore the police need to receive permission from the Attorney General to open an investigation. So, for example, in this context, this instruction runs completely counter to what the law says. For example, paragraph 59 of the Penal Code says that if the police learn about an offense, it can and must open an investigation. This instruction basically tied the hands of the police and disempowered it from acting quickly and efficiently. What did change is that this instruction, the definition that the police need to get permission from the Attorney General regarding offenses related to freedom of speech, that this has been cancelled and they don't need permission from the Attorney General to act anymore. But I want to go back to the original sin. The original sin is that crimes of incitement to terror are taken in the context of offenses related to freedom of speech, and that's wrong. There's no freedom of speech for citizens or anyone else, even if they're not citizens, to use that freedom of speech to destroy the state in which they live. Freedom of speech does not and should not give anyone the freedom to exploit the state against it, to exploit the state in which they live. So this is, for example, an excellent example of the change in state of mind that is occurring in the legal system. If we know that there is an enemy, and we know who the enemy is, and there is a systematic exploitation of the democratic laws of the State of Israel against the State of Israel, then it's clear that we must change the entire approach and there's a long list of laws that needs to be passed. Ultimately, however, the person who decides what interpretation will be given to the laws are the judges. And so I say with regret that until we see judges that indeed represent the people, and certainly after that terrible, heinous massacre, I don't know what good legislation will do if it's the judges ultimately who make the final decisions. I would like to commend in this context Justice Solberg, who gave an amazing verdict. The petition was that the state would provide details about Gazan residents that are held in the hands of the state, and their fate is unknown at this time. And Justice Solberg said, excuse me, we have hundreds of our citizens abducted, children, women, and the elderly in the hands of Hamas, and you expect the state to put itself on hold now and give you the details of who we have? No way. And he, in fact, dismissed the petition. And it's notable that there are other similar petitions in the pipeline that show, in part, that there is a certain change occurring among some judges and among others, not at all.